So, yeah, getting right into this thing, would you be able to explain what soul healing with Bri is all about?
Of course. So, soul healing is really the soul doing the healing. And everything that I show up and help to connect, what we're really doing is plugging back into source and we're plugging back into our divine soul blueprint. And this is interesting that I shared with someone recently that the name confused me, Soul Healing with Brie, because it was channeled. I asked, how am I to serve? I called in my council of light and said, show me the way. And when they said soul healing, it didn't make sense to me. But now I understand that we're returning to the soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
You're not healing the
that
soul. The soul is what's doing the healing.
soul's healing us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more so it's unlearning, it's deprogramming, it's it's clearing energetic pathways for sure, but it's all just returning to the same thing. It's the same, it's your true self.
Mm-hmm.
So I help walk people back to their true self.
Mm-hmm. Walk people back home.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what is the soul? I know that's a rather deep
Mm.
question right off the bat. How would we even explain what the soul is? Because it's a word that's thrown around a lot. And I feel like people have different definitions of really what that is. So, how would you explain the soul?
Such a beautiful question. I'm just tuning in too because my guides are feeding. When I say my guides, uh, I'm sort of showing up at here as Bree, but I'm also showing up with connection to it's a 12th dimensional plane of guides, the Council of Light. They're the High Council of Light. Uh, so they're helping me understand what this is too. But the way that I understand it without their um, assistance or guidance is that the soul is the individuated source. So it is you can think of it as it can be described also as the monad, but it's essentially the original uh, blueprint, or we can say departure or dissension into a form from source.
Yeah.
Um, and should we get what the Council of Light has to say about the soul?
Bring them in.
Sure. Okay. So,
A
just I don't know if you've heard my channelings before, or anyone here
little bit.
has heard them before, but some I don't. I have very little. I'll say I have very little say over the way that it will come through in the way of an accent or a dialect, or I don't shape the narrative in any way. So I'm sort of allowing my consciousness to float to the back in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm sort of witnessing the message as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sort of hearing it once it's out of my mouth. So I just wanted to bring that through because you'll probably notice throughout the conversation that I move in dialect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm just going to ask the High Council of Light to tune into all of us watching at any point in time to help us understand the soul and what the soul is. And we'll see what they have to say. We, the Hell Council of Light, are calibrating all of your fields so that you can receive the message we are conduiting through this channel. Yeah, they're actually dropping me back in because they want me to share that I'm seeing now the Akashic records. So I'm seeing different individuated themes in the group that are going to be consuming this and how they might conceptualize of the soul. Okay. And we see now. So many of you are conceptualizing that the soul is one blueprint. But in truth, the original blueprints were seraphim dragons, and they were the contributors of individualized blueprints, which you all carry. Mm. Okay, they're dropping me back in. Let's see. Ooh, they showed me a lot there, so I'm actually going to describe it because it probably wouldn't have made sense in words. Uh, so they were showing me um, sacred geometries laid over each other. So the seed of life, the flower of life, basically these just original,
Like mandalas.
yes. And there's definitely some in this universe. They showed me that there's definite archetypes that we can all kind of link back to in a sense.
Yeah.
But it's quite beautiful. I didn't understand much of it, but it did make sense more about what a soul is. And it's these original emanations of source.
Mm-hmm.
Big question to open this, Gary.
It's how I roll.
I like this. This is cool.
Yeah. I get that though. So from how I see that, there is a sort of flavor to how the soul wants to come about. It all comes from
Yes.
source, yes, the monad, but there are certain blueprints. There's more than one blueprint, but there's certain like patterns based on
Hmm.
archetypes.
Hmm.
And how I understand it is some of us may have more of certain archetypes than others.
Yes.
And my question, and maybe the council will know or you will know, is like, how many archetypes are there? From what I understand from the rays of light, there's 7 rays, and that might have something to do with the soul as well. And the monad, they actually specifically use the monad in that explanation, but there's 7 different rays of light within the one light, and then we have a little bit of each color, and that is our representation of the archetypes in terms of light. So I'm guessing it has some kind of correlation to how they just described it. It probably is 7 or maybe more, and we have a little bit of each of the 7, you know?
Yes. So they're showing me a lot as you were describing that. And this is a newer understanding for me in the human form. But in this universe, it's 12. So in this universe, it is um, 12 rays, 12 archetypes, 12. We can even bring the zodiac in here, but it all overlays very nicely. It overlays with the archangels. So it's what you were talking about is this it's I've been drawing it, but I'm trying to get out of this pyramid. I'll send you an image.
Okay.
But it's these, 12 slices of the pie, these 12 emanations of in a sense.
Mm.
And they each play a certain role. They each um, we can say have a certain set of traits or qualities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Color is involved here too. So when you were talking about the 7, it was interesting because they were kind of showing me 7 within the 12. So they
I've
showed
heard
me
that
like this.
before. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like this. That's like one way of seeing it. The set from the 7, and then there's the other perspective from the 12.
Mm.
And actually, part of my gift is uh, when I'm tuning into anything, I'm tuning in from the 7th dimension, which that's where I reside as an Akashic Records keeper. I'm like a floating ball of light, just to be real about it. I really am. Um, but from the 7th dimension, basically, you are offered an opportunity to really see outside of time and space.
Yeah.
So you can exact and impress and intend from the highest potentiality when you access the Akashic records from that field. Uh, So it's really interesting that you said 7. I love that you did because that's a real confirmation for me. Uh, how would you tune into the dimensional aspect of this? Like, do you sense that you're in a certain dimension most of the time, or like, do you feel that in your daily life?
Yeah, I sense that I channel something greater than 3 dimensions, we could say. But
Yes.
I don't have any differentiation to the nuances
Right.
of the other dimensions. I'm not that tapped in, but I know something else is going on per se.
Yeah.
Specifically, when I do these conversations with other people that are tapped in, I feel as though it's a dual channeling actually. But I
Mhm.
don't have the, at least at this point, I don't have the ability or adeptness to be able to say, oh, I'm from the seventh, or just label the dimensions, we could say, or label where the information is coming from. I just know it's coming from somewhere else, and I just go
Somewhere.
with that flow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I keep it simple in that way.
I love that.
Yeah. It's like superpowers, but it's really not, because I feel as though we're all hooked up and synced up to these higher realities, higher intelligences, and you just kind of have to slow down in order
Mhm.
to be able to sense them, first of all, and then work with them rather than against them. It's really
Exactly.
that simple, too. Would you say that is the essence of being able to see this stuff in one's life, is just a meditative practice or a general self-inquiry practice?
It's a must. It's step 1, it's square one, it's one of the things I teach is tuning into the your core vibrational frequency. And if you're too lost in the fragmentation and the distortion and the things that go on in this reality, and you don't know what that signature is, you're going to feel lost. So it's
Mm-hmm.
number one is definitely coming back into the self, coming back into, I would say in most cases, the heart.
Yep.
Um, and then it's getting, all your dantians aligned, which is, your you can say your gut or your lower dantian, your powerhouse really. Uh, that's going to give you an indication of direction. So is your heart, your middle dantian center, and so is your head. And I think that what most people struggle with is what I struggled with for 15 years, or really my whole life up until I chose to just listen to my soul and stop messing around. uh, but normally it's like what I walk people through a lot is to ask questions of, what does my mind say about this? What does my body say about this? What does my soul
Mm.
say about this? And then I'll sort of take
Mm-hmm.
them from center to center and say, what kind of information are you getting? Because most of the time it's just the head. So some will tune into, is this a yes or a no for me? And their heart says yes, their body says yes, their soul says yes, but their head says nope. you know, or it's, sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes it's the body that's um kind of sending mixed signals because the nervous system is calling for attention. Uh, but yes, it is absolutely always about returning to center, having that meditative practice or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Just your time with self and quiet
Mm-hmm.
without stimulation.
Yeah. Yep. It's quite simple in that way.
Hmm.
And in that way, we learn to listen and know what to listen to, because the body is always sending us messages. And you can call it the
Exactly.
higher self, you could call it the council of light, chakras, 7 rays. It's
Divine intelligence. Yeah.
divine intelligence, God, whatever you want to
Yep.
call it. But at the end of the day, it's really just being able to listen to it, whatever it is.
Hmm.
It is yourself actually, and
Hmm.
yourself is trying to speak to yourself.
Hmm. But
Always.
it's softer. The soul
It's
will
more
be
subtle.
softer. So
Yeah.
that's why it's just clearing that monkey mind or that whatever it may be that's a distraction,
Mm-hmm.
and then you hear it and it's a softer, and sometimes it's gentle and it's almost
Yeah.
just an energy, it's a color, it's a feeling, it's a something, but
Yeah. Exactly.
then you keep inviting yourself to more of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nourish that.
Hmm.
Yogananda calls it the subtle whispers of intuition.
Yeah. Yeah, that resonates.
It's subtle but very powerful at the same time.
hmm
Mm. And then once one starts to hear it, listen to it, recognize it regularly, then it becomes sort of easy. I don't know if easy is the right word, but I couldn't think of anything else. But it's like, once you know, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Once you know you have this ability,
And it's more natural. It's
yeah.
natural. It's kind of, it's just your new way.
Hmm.
hmm
Now, do you think all of us have this ability? Some a little bit more tapped in than others innately, or is this just innately we're all tapped in the same regard?
I believe we're all innately tapped in. I believe
Yeah.
it's just, I just, what I feel here on planet Earth is that it's just there's many mm, I can call them attempts to take us out of it. So it's that's why it is so much of the just peeling back the layers, getting back to your inner child, your play, your authenticity, your creativity. Um, it's really just getting back to that. But it's not about I truly believe that everyone is worthy of it.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves it. Everyone has it. It's innate to everyone. Um, we all come in as pure divine souls to this planet, and then we're told that we're bad our whole
Hmm.
life, and we're told that we came in bad,
Yeah.
and that everything we're doing is bad, and it's not true. So
Yep.
it's mostly about just, okay, let's get that mind to agree with the soul. And then you're just moving through it, and it's things aren't as I think the more you do that, the more you really tune into, where am I at with this? What's my intention here? Uh what do I want to be calling in? Am I actionably pursuing that? And being honest with yourself about it and accountable with yourself about it. But the more you do it, it just becomes natural. And
Hmm.
everyone can. So everyone that's watching, you can. It's consistency. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just do it every day. That's it. Breathe with your body every day and be with yourself every day. Drop into it every day. And before you know it, you're just doing that naturally all the time. And you're in a meditative state all the time.
Yeah. Exactly. Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, how do you suppose that we even get a glimpse into this wavelength and these innate abilities, these siddhis in our life? Because I feel as though that is the hardest part. Because once you see it, then you can't unsee it, and then you kind of just go with that flow. You go with that pull.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
being able to see it first of all, that's I feel as though that's the toughest part. That's the biggest hurdle to cross. So, is it up to us, or is this some sort of divine grace? Yeah, what would you say is the prescription to be able to see this?
Well, the main things coming in right now is the light codes are pouring into the planet. They're coming in. So whether you consider yourself to be tuning into it or not, it's coming into to the field, to the
Mm-hmm.
energetic field. It's coming into the planet, to our bodies as an energetic field. So it really is important for all of us right now to tune into our energetic field so that we can reattune our energetic field and allow ourselves to receive it in. Because basically, it's all this light, right? Like that's pouring in through our chakra system, out and around our torus field, into the earth. All of these things are happening energetically. So some of us consider that we're getting downloads, or we're understanding things, or having insight, or healing, or intuition. We can call it all these different things. But the more you can do to tune into your body and your energetic field every day, to check in with the needs there, the adjustments there, the better off you're going to be to receive. Because let's see, the guides are actually coming into my consciousness to share some more. They're sharing that a lot. They're scanning the group again. Okay, let's see. Uh, so they're showing me a lot of calcification. It's very common for humans. but basically it's just all this buildup around the third eye that's very common on planet Earth because of GMOs, because of fluoride, because of um, chemicals in the food and the water and blah blah blah, blah, all these different things we can consider, especially for they're showing me it's mostly women, but could apply to men. Things that we put on our body too
Hmm.
can block this up because
Interesting.
you're like a sponge, like so it's
Yeah.
when you put stuff so it's I think that's just kind of spirit coming into this to share, just be mindful of what you're putting in your body, what you're putting on your body. Um a lot of people will just need more water, more hydration. If you
That's
can,
simple.
alkaline water.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of it is just let's clear out this calcification and then you're just kind of clearing off the lens. So
Yeah.
it's not that anyone isn't ever seeing from their intuitive perspectives, but it's how fogged up is the lens. And
Yep.
and then you can address that energetically, physically. There's a lot of ways to address it, including intentionalizing it, just wanting to purify your energetic centers each day.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing I would do in when you're doing that daily practice that we talked about, and everyone's going to do it now every day. And add on to that, just go into each chakra with your consciousness. See the red color of your root, see the orange color of your sacral, see the yellow color of your solar plexus, see the green color of your heart, and see the colors of your chakras, and then feel them, and then let your chakra heal itself. And you and your soul is actually doing all of it, but you're tuning into it. And basically, it's where attention goes, energy flows. So it's someone that thinks like chakras are made up, let's say. I don't think your
Mm-hmm.
community will think that, um, but it's a muscle. It's like you're training yourself to see it, and you're going into it each day, and it's that repetition and consistency thing. And before we got on the call, the things that came in were slow down was like the number one for
Yeah.
everyone. Like that's the message we all need to hear is like slow down, but then it was consistency and be
Mm.
mindful of patterns. So it's just
Yes.
combing the patterns
Mm.
of your life. What are my
Mm-hmm.
patterns? Where am I going? How do I
Yep.
feel when I go there? How do I feel when I use this thing or do this or see this person or whatnot? And then it's just being honest with yourself, and that's again, it's like the soul is subtle. So it's tuning into if you do have resistance, I wouldn't run away from your resistance. That's a thing that I would say a lot of people do that can be easily dealt with is see where you're resisting, like, and truly ask yourself why. Just figure out why. And that might suck, but figure out why. And then basically just learn how to soften around that resistance because it's not going to go anywhere. But if you deny it, it could go into the body. So
Oh,
we don't want that. We don't,
we don't
no,
want that.
none of us want that.
No. Well said. And what I got from that is many things. It's very well spoken. But one thing was you have to take care of your body. This is
Mhm.
the temple. And if you're not taking care of the temple, then it's not going to look holy. It's not going to feel holy.
Mhm.
So you have to, step one, maybe, or one of the first steps at least, is to take care of your body so
Mhm.
that you don't create that shroud over the third eye, essentially, so
Mhm.
that you could see. So yeah, health. That's something that I feel as though a lot of people don't speak about in the spiritual community. It's all about spirit, but in order to access spirit, you need to um, upkeep the tool to be able to access spirit, and that is your body. That is the
Mhm.
vessel.
The vessel. Yeah.
So yeah, step one, I guess, take care of your body. Have just a basis of health. You don't have to be a health freak, but don't be unhealthy. That's the essence. Is just don't be
Well,
unhealthy. Don't be
and
destructive.
it's checking too that what they're kind of feeding in is it's not just the things we're putting in our body and on our body, but it's also like checking, being really careful about what we're consuming. Um
Yeah, you mean like an
and
energetic diet as well?
like in with our screens and with
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
what am I watching? Like, am I feeling a certain
Exactly.
type of way after I watch this TV show? Interesting. Like, or am I feeling a certain type of way after I, step into this store? Or
Yep.
but it's just it's being really it's tuning into the subtle layers so that you can notice where you're getting taken off center, because it's all about going
Mm.
back to center. But
Mm-hmm.
we're in a world that's very attractive and alluring, and there's like lots of
Yeah.
things just always
A lot of
calling
bright
our
lights.
attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, so um it's being really mindful there and just checking what we're taking in, because that's what we're putting in here. So it's like we're kind of
Yep.
gonna project it out no matter what we believe about it. Like whatever we're taking in, we're gonna kind of be putting out in some way too. So
That's it.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like to say the body, this may be oversimplified, but like I said, I'm a simple guy. The body is like an input output machine, and whatever you're inputting, you're going to output. So just
Yes.
make sure you're inputting the right stuff, and that includes
Mm-hmm.
food, that includes
Mm-hmm.
your media. I call that the energetic diet. There's the physical
Energetic
diet,
diet. I like that.
and then there's the energetic diet of your media, which might even be more important. Who knows? I don't know if it's a hierarchy thing, but it's just as
They're
important.
pretty close in comparison. What is
Yeah,
what it feels like.
it all relates in one way or the other. So yeah, that's huge. Is make sure you're not putting in trash, and there's a lot of trash online. There's a lot of, what do they call that? Brain rot. Was that the term? It's like mind. I don't know. We know what it is when it's just a distraction or not. So yeah, that's huge. So make sure you're putting in the good stuff, and then yeah, you'll output the good stuff as well. And it'll be so apparent too. I think that intuition that we spoke of before will guide one along the way, whether it is your food diet, your energetic diet, your community diet, the people you're hanging out with. That's also very important. I feel as though actually that's number one.
That's up there.
Yeah, that's up there as well.
It's
So
there's a stat of the five closest people to you, you're going to become just like them.
exactly.
So that was a revelation for me like 5 years ago. I remember just being like, oh, I gotta check that.
Yep.
Gotta check that.
Mm-hmm. Point of my story was your intuition will guide you through all of that. If you tap into yourself enough,
Hmm.
the outward will just the inward will help you guide you through the outward and what you're putting in from the outside world. It'll be
Right.
so apparent. For me, it's like an easy yes or no answer on if something is good for me or not. It's quite
Yes.
simple. Like I said, I'm a simple guy, so I think just
That's a practical one, yeah, that everyone can start doing too, is just checking, is this a yes or no for me?
yeah.
And then just honoring the first answer, and honoring it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's hard for people sometimes, I had to train myself to say no again. That was one thing I really had to work through, is, oh wait, I can say no. Oh, okay. And then
Yeah.
honoring it, even when it wasn't something I expected to be a no or a yes or a whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's available for all of us. These
Hmm.
powers. We
Hmm.
call it powers, but it's really just who we are.
It's remembering.
It's remembering.
That's too. It's like the soul's doing the healing.
Yep.
It's
There it
it's
is.
natural to us. Like that's the thing that is so messed up about it all, is that we're just returning to what we truly, naturally, organically, originally, just authentically are.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that's all it's about. And then you know it. And then you walk with that, and you know your yeses and nos, and you honor them. And you get used to honoring them, and it gets easier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Another good point that you brought up too was, or the council brought up, is patterns, and the patterns that we sow for ourselves in our life, because I
Hmm.
believe we are creatures of habit. So
Yes.
if we tackle our patterns and our rituals in our life in the right way, that's when you truly start to see change. And again, intuition will lead the way in that regard. But it all has to do with just creating the right rhythm for one's life. And yeah, you'll start to dance a different dance in that rhythm. And that's really what it's about, is sowing the seeds of a different lifestyle through the patterns that we create for ourselves. I mean, case in point is the monk lifestyle, right? Look at monks. What really a monk is being about is simplifying one's patterns so you don't create destructive patterns.
Mhm.
And I think that's the essence of it, is we simplify our life. You don't have to become a monk. You can learn a lot from them, though, in the essence of simplification. Now, would you say that is a strong proponent of the path, is a great simplification that comes from this whole wavelength that we're speaking on?
Mm. You're presenting some very interesting geometries to my consciousness. Let's see. So you were speaking on the rhythms and the patterns and the um we'll use the monk lifestyle as an example here. So they're showing me that when you're on planet Earth, you have all of these different conscious states available, all of them. You can see you go all the way from, I don't know, a stockbroker in, on Wall Street that is running a mile a minute all day, every day, and living this particular lifestyle, this particular rhythm. And then you can look at a monk living this particular rhythm. And
Mm,
what they're showing me is when you're on a planet that's truly, it's rebirthing, it's shifting in dimensional frequency, it's raising in vibrations, all these verbiage things we can say. We're also, it's a position that we're moving into in our galaxy that is in alignment with the black hole. So we're receiving a whole lot right now.
a whole
Um,
lot.
whole lot. So what they were kind of showing me is have grace with your own rhythms.
Mm,
So they kind of showed me, and this is something that is very resonant for me, is honor your rhythms each day. So some days you might be moving very slowly and in pace and in stillness and in reverence and in a meditative like state, a Zen like state, we can say. And the next day you might be super go, go, go and motivated and creating and, doing this project and this project and this project. And they're kind of just sharing um, to really be honoring of your own rhythms as they shift with the planet.
mm-hmm,
So know that and this is measured many different ways, but the Schumann resonance, for example, the NOAA there's many different organizations that measure the sun and the activity on the sun. And it's all related to us because it charges up our system. So we're getting all this, it's light, but light is information. So we just all basically need to find our own rhythm with it because we're also dealing with timelines, which I didn't speak to a lot yet, but it's involved very much. And so we're gonna have a lot of Mandela effects. We're gonna have a lot of this. Yeah, it feels like they want to give us this about 2025. So there might be times in the next year or so and beyond, where we're feeling like we don't know what's real. We don't know what's truth, what's fiction. We don't know. We're questioning our reality because AI is getting so real and
mm-hmm,
we don't know what's truth. We don't know what's reality. And this also has to do with planets as well. But basically, what they're showing is just have grace with yourself along that process because you might be receiving something that isn't even prevalent on the timeline yet because you're a seer and you don't know it. And so you're receiving things that are not even manifest yet. And give yourself grace as those gifts come back online for you because it can be a little destabilizing to the system. But just know that whatever you're moving through, whether that's, you're having headaches or you're having something or you're just not sure, you're questioning, remember that it's upgrades. Like give yourself that little paradigm shift of realizing, oh, there's this thing happening. And of course, when I see your doctor, I always have to say that too, like all the normal medical things. But the more you can get in tune with the subtle layers of your body, the better adept you're going to become at flagging and tagging. Oh, maybe I don't know, my solar plexus chakra is getting a major upgrade right now. And I'm going to basically wake up tomorrow and feel like I have no worry, no doubt, no nothing's holding me back. Suddenly I don't have any self-consciousness. I don't have any, none of my self-limiting thoughts are there anymore. It could be because you're getting a chakra upgrade. And that's what I like to remind people of is that um when you're paying attention, what a lot of my clients will tell me is that the more they're paying attention, they get more triggered and like more irritated because now they're noticing things that they've been trying to tell themselves for a very long time. And so it's irritating to the ego, the yeah, the mental programming. It's irritating to the mental programming. It's going to challenge it. So just give yourself grace, and
Mm-hmm.
if you and then the other thing that they're showing me, it looks like we might have the Akashic records open for those higher selves that wanted them to be. Um, they're just saying be mindful, interesting. So this is a message for those that consider themselves overproductive, which is funny to me, a little, because I am. Um, and it's 12:22. Okay, so be mindful of when overproductivity is at play, basically, because they're showing me that some of us, and not all, but some of us with certain planetary placements in our natal chart, we're going to experience an upsurge in motivation, in drive. In A lot of people are going to start businesses. Maybe that's you, person watching this. But a lot of us are going to move up. We're going to basically move past our blocks, and manifest. So what they're showing is that's great. That's beautiful. Yay. Let's love and celebrate that. But be mindful of where that pendulum gets a little, um, just they're sharing. I'm trying to like find the words for it because I understand what they're transmitting, but I'll get their words. Be mindful of when overproductivity is an escape mechanism. That's it. Yeah. So
Mm.
just be mindful of that because that just will confuse your mind and slow down the process of aligning those chakras again. So um, they're always really obnoxious about this through me, and I sometimes question it, but they're like chakras, 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 chakras. People need to know about this because we need to be paying attention to those intuitive centers. They're intuitive centers. They each have a different, they're going to steer us
Yeah.
in a certain type of way. So,
Mm-hmm.
and one thing that they bring through a lot, and anyone that wants to activate your rainbow light body, I brought through an activation yesterday on Soul Healing with Bri YouTube. Um, it's really powerful because basically all your chakras need to be communicating with one another too. So sometimes like there's a separation between a couple of them. Like they're just not flowing the way that they could optimally be flowing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's when you have your rainbow light body activated, it's this thing that just sort of keeps you in alignment. It sort of gently pulls you to the right movement practices and the right rhythm
Yep.
and how you're moving through the day. But there's many energetic tools that are available to all of us. And we're just remembering a lot of us have this ancient knowledge within us in our DNA, within our soul blueprint. So we're reaccessing it. And the big thing that they want me to bring through is we're sharing, we're openly sharing, we're finding these treasures and sharing. Where the old paradigm was like we find the treasure and then we're like keeping the treasure in some like little
Yeah.
tomb, like, no,
Yeah.
like that's not the way of unity consciousness. The way of unity
Yeah.
consciousness is find these treasures, offer them availably. So that's one thing I do with my business is I'm like always giving everything I can. I'm conduiting the purest I can, whether it's free or paid or whatever. It doesn't matter to me because it's available and we just need to know it. We just need to be reminded
Mm-hmm.
and then tune into it.
Reminded,
Mhm.
remember, recalibrate. It's a lot of re's. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same
It's because
idea.
it's our original. It's our original. It's what we really are.
Yep. Rebirth. Yep.
Hmm.
Yep. It's the same idea. It's all just coming back home, coming back.
Yeah. Different perspectives, seeing it from that way, this dimension, that. Yeah.
Mm. Very well spoken. And I think the point of what you just said was balance. Find a balance between the polarity of the monk and the stockbroker. I think
Yes. Love that.
we're
Yes.
we're all somewhere in between that, you know? But some days you might feel a little more like the stockbroker. Some days you might feel a little more like the monk. So it's honor that rhythm and flow between those two polar opposites.
Exactly. It's polarized
Yeah.
planet. It's part of it here. It's the yin yang.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Balance. It's the middle way. It's the middle way. Awesome stuff. That's what I find, at least, is there has to be a balance.
Has to be balanced.
There's been times I'm like, well, should I just retire and go to a mountaintop or find a hermitage and just, live life as the cliche aesthetic?
Considered it.
Would you say?
I've
Considered
considered it
it?
many, many times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then, but there's always that point in me. I'm like, no, that wouldn't be useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
You find the cave in your own dwelling. You find the cave at home or inside yourself, however you want to look at it. It wouldn't be useful in that manner. That is the path. I feel as though it might be for some, for sure, but I feel like as though that is the path of the past, as we said, and we live in a new age of sharing, as you spoke. So I wouldn't feel like it would be conducive to this. Well, first of all, my own happiness and joy and peace, but also others if I were to just completely retire. And then other days I feel like, well, why don't I just drop this whole spirituality thing and just go hustle? You know what I'm saying? Go hustle, become a millionaire, a billionaire, just like grind.
Wow. You could be all these things.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You can
All of
integrate
them.
all of that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that's the path of the sage, right? The path of the 21st century sage moving into this age of Aquarius, we could say, is the balancing act that one plays. The path of the shaman is the balancing act, and it's also a giving back. I think that's just natural and that's innate. When one gets on this wavelength, there is this sense of becoming an offering, just throwing it out there type of thing. And yeah, do you feel that? Do you feel, I think you already talked about it a little bit, but do you feel like that offering essence and giving back is just something that is, you just kind of have to do? Not that you have to do it, but you feel like there is a pull to give back to the others per se?
Yeah, you're speaking to a lot of beautiful things right now. So what's immediately coming to mind is the law of one, which is basically you have your service to self path and
Yeah,
you have your
exactly.
service to others path. So
Mm-hmm.
we are truly polarizing towards this service to others path. And those that are, and that's why you'll hear very often about the split, because those that are clinging very heavily to the service to self path, it's going to get harder and harder for them. Like,
Yeah.
and if anyone here is feeling like you're just at that point where you're finally giving yourself love again, like that's not who I'm talking to. I'm talking to um it is truly, and that's why it is sort of a balancing and tricky topic, because your best path of service is from a state of overflow. So it's
Mm,
finding your way of
yeah.
being holistic within yourself. You get yourself to your masculine, your feminine, they're balanced. You're feeling in flow, you're feeling in purpose, you're feeling in mission, you're feeling aligned, and you're feeling like so in love with life and everything that you're pouring that out to everybody. Like that's
Yeah.
the ideal mechanism that we want to step into. That's where we're really headed.
Mm.
But basically, I think the message that is coming through is uh Bashar is coming into my consciousness. This is, oh gosh.
Oh wow.
Here, come on. Okay. Um so I'm just getting this message of basically we're all to be discovering right now, what is my passion? Where is my heart leading me? What is
Mm-hmm.
really lighting me up? what is returning me to my soul, to my center, to my flow. Okay, now how can this be my offering?
Ah,
So
yes.
okay, now how can I allow this to be something that I am not only doing for myself, but I'm doing it for all.
Mm-hmm.
Um so it's moving past our limits in that way, and then it's also it just feels like have grace with ourselves is like the main message for the next, because the next few years in 2020, I think that we were in a different state of consciousness to experience world events in that way. And I feel that in going into 2025, we're more conscious and aware now. I
Mm-hmm.
truly believe that. And I'm holding to that. I know that there's pessimists out there that don't believe this and they believe everyone's asleep. And I used to be one of those people that felt that way too. But we're sort of allowing those who are resisting their awakening in some way, we're allowing them the past to allow it just by our embodiment. So
Mm.
it really is that's service. And then the other thing that my guides often share through me, and they're sharing it again now, is a lot of you that are opening up your intuitive centers and you're bringing information in, you're basically opening your channel is what's occurring. Um, but surface and subside. Yeah. So they surface and subside, surface and subside, surface and subside. They say this like on repeat through me. But don't get glued to your downloads. Don't get glued to the memories. Don't get glued to any of it. Allow it through, and it's waves. It's allowing your, because a lot of those that are awakening will, they'll have a remembrance, I'll say, to another experience and another embodiment somewhere. And it's so true to them, it's so real to them, and they feel all those emotions and they feel all that sometimes pain. And so it's really important that when you're opening and expanding your consciousness to all of you, that you're allowing everything to surface and subside. So kind of let it out, let it flow, let
Mm.
it out, let it flow, let it out.
Mm.
It's not about, let me bring this through and hold. I used to do this a lot when I first started channeling. I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Whoa, let's grab that. Yeah. I'm even writing a book about it. But it really is truly, it's like, okay, you're observing this and then you're like letting it percolate and integrate. You're
Yeah.
observing it, you're integrating it. You're observing it, you're integrating it.
Mm.
But you're not getting glued to any of it.
Yeah.
You gotta come back to like, okay, well, now I'm a human in this body and I'm living this life,
That's it. It's the
right
middle
here.
way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
like that. Percolate and integrate. That's good. I'm gonna remember that one.
I like that one a lot actually. Right after it done.
Percolate and integrate. Yes. That's the middle way, though. I mean, this is part of the story of Buddha that a lot of people overlook. Is he went out, got enlightened under the Bodhi tree in the wilderness, but he didn't stay there. Came back, came back into the kingdom to integrate. He percolated and he integrated it back to teach the
Hmm.
lessons. So that's
Hmm.
the essence of the middle way. In all of our own way, you don't have to follow directly in the Buddha's footsteps, but in some way we do. I think there is a sort of archetype to the sage. There's a sort of like the path is how do I put this? Many different paths to the same destination, we could say, in that metaphor, you know? So I think that's the essence, especially in today's world, is you come back into the kingdom to teach, man. You give back a little bit.
Hmm.
And that's just innate, that's just natural. You know? There's a lot of things that just become natural on this path that you just find out like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be per se. And I think part of what it's supposed to be is like this, and this is the archetype of the shaman, is they heal themselves and then they heal others as well with what they've learned. Is you kind of
Hmm.
have to give back. There is this sense of healing the others that aren't really the others. Because that's the
We're all
essence.
one, exactly. It's
Yeah,
you healing you.
you can't just heal
And
yourself. And the ironic thing is like okay, so how you heal others is you heal yourself. It's this kind of dualistic thing I'm speaking on right now, but it's actually not dualistic because you save yourself to save the world. You don't save the world to save yourself. It's like it all really comes from within, and everything that you do for yourself percolates
Exactly.
without. Yeah. So
And you
yeah.
spoke
Go
to a
ahead.
lot of, or you spoke to a lot of really, really solid and important uh, wisdom keys to ascension, which is basically all healing is self-healing. That's true. So
Yeah.
you can that's why it is so key that you learn your way of operating in this world from overflow, because you
Mm-hmm.
will just naturally serve others and you'll just be overflowing to others.
Yeah.
But what you also spoke to is how Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, and Buddha consciousness are the same consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Exactly.
just um, different
Different
perspective, and
flavors,
it's different
perspectives. Yeah.
flavors, different textures,
Mm-hmm.
but it is all truly that we are one. Like, these are mirrors. All of these people I'm seeing, they're mirrors for me. What is
Mm-hmm.
this? And so it's just to really like circulate it, bring it back, is just we're always considering our relationship with everything around us.
Yeah. Exactly.
Everything, absolutely everything. Do I have this adverse relationship to this refrigerator? Like, why? Like, is there something in me that just like doesn't want to make sounds and I'm mad at the refrigerator? I mean, that's just like a really silly thing that I just unpacked.
I get it.
But yeah, it's figuring out, like, why does this mean this to me? Why do I have this? Why am I relating to this in this way? And then basically just turning it around, turning it around, turning it around. And then it's like this, revolving door where um, you're allowing yourself to be intuitively led by your soul.
Yes.
And you're not really worried about it. And that's why it's like I always bring this in is um as the ascension symptoms may unfold for people that maybe are just becoming aware, conscious of their shifts within their energetic field, just be really tender and loving with all of yourself. Like,
Yeah.
tell your body you love your body. Like, tell your mind you love your mind. Tell your emotions you love them, that they're welcome in the space.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I feel that we're all sort of needing a reminder of, which is just honor your emotions, see what they're there for. If you're flagging and tagging that, like anger or fear or any kind of like emotion that you don't feel is enjoyable is coming up a lot, don't like fight it, like make it your
Mm-hmm.
friend. Like,
Mm-hmm.
figure out why it's that, like, anger is only there because it's telling you something needs to change in your life, typically. And, even with fear, it's kind of like ironic and kind of, paradoxical in that sometimes the things that are coming into our field that are new, they might be exciting and scary at the same time. So it's important to figure out within your own polarity and duality of being, why am I afraid of this? And
Mm-hmm.
then, like, why am I excited about this? And then figuring out, is it something you want to pursue or is it something you want to attract?
Yeah. Well said. Yep. I think a. Sorry, something's going off. Again, another message. It's actually my fridge. It's making a lot of noise. It's kind of funny.
That's Mine was just making noise.
What's
Our
going on with the
fridges have
fridges,
been
huh? They're
our
sending us
fridges have been
messages. Oh, I'm gonna
tangled.
shut it off real quick. One sec.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. I know what it was. It was a. I have the dishes clean next to the fridge, and the dishes were like vibrating, sending messages. Didn't you just say something about a fridge sending you messages or something like that? That's
Yeah.
hilarious. That's some cosmic joke right there.
My fridge actually does, typically when I channel like a really potent message, my
Uh
fridge
huh.
will like start, like, it sounds like it's literally speaking and I'm like, okay, fridge, and then I have to call my guides in and they like reattune the fridge. It's pretty hilarious. I've
Hold on
learned
one
to laugh
second.
about
Yeah.
it. I guess we need the guides to attune the appliances in the space.
Okay. Sometimes I feel as though the inanimate objects they have a life of their own, which I do. I think that's the topic we're kind of on. Is
Uh-huh.
you see the self
Everything.
in everything. It's
Everything,
just
well,
it's all a reflection.
everything holds consciousness, and so you can
Yeah.
always, that's why, like, things like crystals and I use, like, this is a copper pyramid, Um, it's got a consciousness, like it's doing something beyond what our minds will be able to grasp is occurring. But
Hmm.
it's a conductor,
Yeah.
everything is just remember everything's got a field.
That was
Like
really funny though,
everything's
because you just brought up the fridge thing, and then my fridge started speaking. So it's like, come on, man. Sometimes I'm like, where are the cameras? I feel like I'm being punked.
the guys like being funny like that. I really do. I think that
Mm,
they get a kick out
yeah,
of it.
that's an important point. I feel as though I like to say God is the greatest comedian of all time. The universe has a very strange sense of humor. Sometimes it's a
Very.
little dark. I'm not
It's a
gonna
little dark
lie, but
sometimes. Yeah, yeah.
the joke is always there, and yeah, you just gotta learn to laugh. I think this whole path is just learning to
Mhm.
laugh. To be honest with you.
Very important. Very healing too. Laughter is very healing.
Truly, yeah, it really is. Laughter is unique because it's one thing that you can't really fake. It's very novel in
Yeah.
the emotion that it elicits. You know, you can't fake laughing. I wish I could because I feel as though it's one of the greatest feelings of all time when you're just uncontrollably laughing.
Hmm.
You can't you can't just create that right now. It
No,
comes from some kind of novel moment that happens in the universe, some kind of message that comes through where just the neurons
it's
connect at
almost
the right
it's like
moment.
a spark of the universe, like you're connecting with like
Yeah.
guides and higher dimensional selves. And that's why like kids, you see them like losing their self in laughter all the time
Yeah.
because they're
Mm.
so and that's another here's another piece of evidence for us to remind us we come in as pure, complete, whole, beautiful, perfect, everything needed inside of us soul.
Yeah.
And that's what we're just returning to. And that's what I feel is like not I mean we were just talking about laughter and paradox and polarity and this is fun. But basically our core wound is this wound of being separated from God, from source.
Yeah.
That's the core wound. And so it's finding a way to remind ourselves, I am always connected to the divine. I am
Yep.
always connected to source. There is, and one of the things, if you want to play with affirmations, they work for some people, not for others. It's based on you. It's based on what you need. Um, but using your voice is important, and words are spells. So what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
you're speaking it into literal existence. Geometries are escaping from your body and going and doing their thing. They're doing their magic. So, oh, that's a little reminder from source too to speak your intentions into your water. Really important. And then like the Hashimoto, like do you know about those studies with the water?
Was it with the frequencies that they elicit to the water and then they form different shapes within the water? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah.
they basically froze water along with a certain frequency and each and if you can look this up, you can probably Google it.
I'll show some
Frozen in
images.
It's like when you look at it though, it's pretty wild because you realize the power of it. You realize the
Mm.
power of a frequency, like just the word love or the word compassion or the word unity. Like they have um
Yeah, like imprints of
yeah,
frequency. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
And you
so
know what the thing
just
is we are 70% water, or if not more. I think it actually might be a larger percent, but we are
yes.
majority of us is water. So
Yes.
right there, it's kind
Yeah.
of scientific proof.
Yep. And all those consciousness. That's why it's one thing that if anyone's dealing with any kind of like anxiety or things like that, um one of the things to do is sit with a body of water because
Mm.
it will recalibrate you.
Oh yeah.
The water in your body and the water that is in that, hopefully a natural body of water if you can, um, but it recalibrates you just naturally.
100%.
Pretty cool stuff.
I used to live in a busy part of the city. Now I live on a lake, and it's completely different. To look outside your backyard, and rather than it be a concrete jungle, it's literally just nature. It's the water. It's yeah, night and day difference. So not everybody can do that. I understand, but if you can, like, at least try to surround yourself with some sort of natural water source in some way, like a river or something. Yeah, there's something special about it. The negative ions, what they say. I don't know
Yes.
what it is, but
It's the
it's
negative
you can feel
ions.
it.
There's a lot to it. And I'm also being shown too that if you don't have access to that, you can like heat up some water and put salt in it and put it in the room, and it'll kind of do the same thing for you,
Okay.
with intentionality. So
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
sitting with the water and setting the intention that, um, this maybe like you're noticing that your heart chakra is like you're working through some stuff, like you're letting go of
Mm,
some things, and you're dealing with grief or whatever, and you can sit with the bowl of steaming salt water, and you can kind of just sit with it, and it basically is going to move. It's metaphysical what's going on, but it's going to clear you out. It's going to take anything that's not, and it's going to transmute it and alchemize it, because that's always what we're doing, is we're everything that we're revisiting or remembering or downloading or whatever, we're neutral with it. That's the love, and that's the biggest misconception, is that love is positive. Love is not positive. Love is neutral.
mm, it's good.
So that's like a big remedy for us to understand, is that what we're after is unconditional love. That place of being where we love all that is. We are
Hmm.
unconditional. You know, we accept everyone, everything, every state of consciousness,
Yeah.
we accept it. We're not
And
going to
forgive.
combat it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good point. I like that. Neutrality and unconditionality. Pretty much the same thing.
We had so much alliteration going on here. This is percolating into great.
It's the rhythm, man. It's the rhythm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, what came up for me is the rhythm of like a mantra in Sanskrit. There is a certain rhythm in Sanskrit and in ancient mantras, and I think that's the essence of like some truth, of poetry. There is a certain rhythm in how one conveys their words. It's not even necessarily the words themselves; it's how they're formulated that allows one to go beyond the the dictionary definition of the word, you know, and that is the essence, like I said, of poetry, or maybe you can say a Zen koan that um, I think that leads one beyond the word. It's like using the words as a code in some kind of way, and it's how they're used. It's the rhythm, it's the meter that it's all used in, and then you will see what the words stand for, beyond the symbol. And it's
Yeah,
all in the rhythm, man.
it's
It's all in the
and
rhythm.
then the intent. You're really talking about like the intentionality. Like it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just like the word. Like we can take the word out and look at the word, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like, where is this like word flowing from? Like, is this
Yeah, exactly.
love? Like, where is and that's what intuitives can tune into very easily with someone. Is That's why you can see someone speaking to you, and you can feel the intention under it. So it
Yeah,
may not be visible to anyone else, but you feel the intentionality.
exactly.
And that's when you have to find the compassion, especially as an intuitive, because
Yeah, because I can read your
when you
mind.
know someone's coming at you with the intention of harm, you still have to sit there and go,
Yeah,
okay, but I'm going to neutralize this.
I think that's the essence of psychic powers. Is you start to realize intention behind
Mhm.
somebody's words. Yeah, it's like you see beyond the veil, you could say. And yeah, with great power comes great responsibility, for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Tread with care.
seriously, tread with care. But I think in order to have the powers, you have to have that unconditional love incorporated in you. I think you need to have the
Mhm.
love first, and then you get the powers. It's not like you get the powers and then you get the love. Like, in order to have this bestowed upon you, these powers per se, these psychic abilities, you have to love the person first, and then
Mhm.
there will be no conflict of like, if the person does have negative intentions and whatever they're saying to you, there will be that forgiveness no matter what. That's what I feel, at least. Like, even though I can feel when somebody doesn't exactly have my best interests at heart, it's like, oh, it's okay. And I think I can
That's a
feel that because I already have the foundation of it's okay in the first place.
You're probably playing up in the higher dimensions like we talked about in the beginning, and you just don't know it.
Maybe.
But because what you're talking about is very, very important. It's very like Mother Mary. It's like Yeshua. It's very like Christed family energy, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically, and I got the image too of these ascended masters walking into these spaces where they don't have fear over any of it. Like they're
Yeah.
not walking into the room and going like, okay, where's the person that's going to gossip about me? Okay, where's the person
Yep.
that might be sick and I don't want to catch it? Like,
Mm-hmm.
where is this? Like, no, they would literally just walk in, and the reason it was able to be so powerful is because they truly loved not only
Exactly.
themselves and all of creation, but they loved every single soul in that space like it was them.
Yeah.
So they would walk into those spaces and just be unconditional love, and that's what healed. And it wasn't just this crazy magic going on. It was unconditional love that they anchored in their everyday practices and their everyday life and the way that they walked the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're returning to, is like, okay, and we learn from them, the ascended masters and Buddha and all of these incredible figures, and um there's many coming to my consciousness right now, but Kuan Yin is one that I work with very often, and Mother Mary's been ever present. But they show you, but they don't tell you what to do. Like, they're
Uh-huh.
not like, when you consult with ascended masters or any of these figures, you're not like, I don't know, like watching how they lived their life and going, I'm going to live like them. Like, no, you're sort of getting their energetic, you're getting the energy stamp of them, their essence,
Yeah.
but you have your essence. Like, you have your own unique soul essence. Is this your unique flavor, your unique thing to bring?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's like tapping into that. And it's like this very, and it's like Kundalini energies coming into play. Uh, I would say if anyone's trying to elevate their healing process, if you haven't explored yoga or Qigong or any of these movement practices that are truly like ancient technology, um, it's time to explore
Mm-hmm.
those areas, because your breath, your body, your mind, all of it is like this. It's organic technology.
Mm-hmm.
So using it properly is essential, especially in a shift where we're like moving through dimensional frequencies in a
Yeah.
rapid pace.
Mm-hmm. Organic technology. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. Unconditional love. That's where this is all returning to, is a essence and expression of unconditional love in all of our own accords. We become our own Buddha.
Yes. Mhm.
That's where this is going. I think that's in one way or the other, maybe in this lifetime or the next or the next, we will all get to a point of realizing unconditional love, and that is the truth here, man.
Mhm.
Without sounding too cliche and too hippie, it really is. That's really what it comes down to. What's
If
the
you
point
want to
of life?
simplify, yeah, if you want to simplify, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really, it's the whole thing anyway. It's just going to all lead you back to that anyway.
Yep. All roads lead to love.
Yes.
Seriously. Hmm.
But real love, not like Hollywood love,
Yeah,
like
not like the
real.
Disney movies. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I'm
like
talking about
neutrality.
unity, and meeting each
Hmm.
other, and each partner is whole first.
Hmm.
Just plugging that for unity consciousness and divine unions all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The biggest difference is unconditional. Most of the love
Unconditional.
that we know is conditional. All right. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll love you if you do this for me.
If but yeah.
It's always
Nope.
the if. There's no if. It's just I'm gonna love you.
Love is
There's nothing you can do
acceptance.
about it. I'm gonna
Love is
love you.
acceptance. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really it. Acceptance, radical acceptance. I like to say.
Radical acceptance. It really is. When you stop resisting, oh, life takes a new form.
Truly. Mm-hmm. And only we can be, I feel, testaments and offerings to that. There's really only so much that we can do for others. And that's actually the good news, because, as we said before, you save yourself in order to save the world. Not that you do it for that, but you just save yourself, essentially, is what I'm trying to say here. And yeah, it might be daunting. That might seem a little scary, because we're all looking for some sort of savior. We all want either our parents or the president or Jesus to save us in some way. Nope, don't work like that. You have to save yourself.
We don't want it that way as a soul. That's not what we want
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. The mind
Like,
wants that. The
what's the
ego
fun
wants
in
that.
that? Like, why would we want that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's past conditionings. It's like you never really truly grow up. It's like that's just remnants and fragments of a wounded childhood. We just bring that into adulthood. You know, that's sort of some deep psychology, but I think that's kind of the essence of it.
Well,
Save yourself, man.
and invite your inner child too to play with you each day. Like figure out what
Yeah.
your inner child wants to do that day. Another thing to do, just really quick, is this is something that I used to do that was very helpful, which is anything that you are very confused about, like ask your inner child how your inner child feels about it, because like
Mm,
you'll get a better answer. Like you'll kind of get a you'll be like, oh, like you'll start to clear distortion quickly if you
mm-hmm.
consult your inner child in decision making.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get kind of a
Yeah.
pure, innocent answer.
Yes. Unless ye become like children, then you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And that's it. And the kingdom of heaven is really just being able to find play. Find a little bit of play in this life. What is the Alan Watts quote? I'm going to paraphrase. I might butcher it, but it's like, man suffers because he takes serious what the gods made for play.
I love
So
that.
yeah, I don't know if that
Yeah,
was it word for word, but that is the idea. It's that we take the stuff of our life a little too serious,
a little bit.
and we don't know a little bit, and we don't know how to play with the things that weren't meant to be taken serious. So yeah, it's returning to the child, man. I think children are just they're all just enlightened beings. You just feel it off of them, you know. Sometimes it rubs off. You just like when you're around a kid, a pure kid, which all of them are pure, really. It's just like, oh, that's it. Okay, I see. I learned from kids a lot, you know.
My two kids are they teach me something new every single day. They see from such a clear, pure perspective. It is
Mm-hmm.
They keep me in check, which is really nice. I
Mm-hmm.
used to hate it. I used to be like, oh, but now I'm like, wow, okay.
They're
Thank
little
you.
Buddhas.
Thank you. My ego was taking over, and now you could put like my daughter will just look at me and I'm like, oh, okay. All right. All right. Back to truth now.
How old are your kids?
5 and almost 8. I've got a
Ah,
son and a daughter, and they teach me more than I can ever all the time. They're
that's
wonderful.
awesome.
And they're very gifted. So that's a fun parenting in this age is it's nice because I want to help them not have to turn everything off and then have to turn it back on again. Like
Uh-huh.
that's what I
Yes.
did, and it took a
Mm.
lot of effort to turn it back on again.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, but
It's a good
worth
point.
it. Worth it.
Yeah, worth it. I actually spoke with somebody yesterday and we got on that point. So it's interesting that we're touching upon that again
Makes sense.
of not even turning it off in the first place. Imagine if you were
Yeah,
just you stayed pure. I think that's truly how we change the world is
me
you
too.
become a conscious parent and you raise your kids in that way so you never get distorted in the first place to
Yes,
the best of your ability. You know, there's only so much that you could do. I mean, the child is their own agent in some way, but I think
exactly.
how we really do change the world in the future generations is you just become conscious yourself. You have kids,
Right.
and you take care of the kids in a conscious way.
And you know that they're little beings that are a soul too. You
Yeah, and
know,
they have their own karma.
they have their own they have their own inner compass. They have
Yeah.
their own guidance, they have their own everything. That's one of my biggest kind of relief as a parent is just I know they are so guided, so
Mm-hmm.
supported,
Yeah.
so connected. And so that's sort of what allows me to just not fall into the patterns that I saw growing up, which was like a lot of fear, like don't do this, don't go there,
Yep.
don't.
Yeah.
um but it's a teacher that I would say becoming a parent was my biggest nothing taught me more. Not even my NDE, nothing taught me more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Ah. Well, I got faith that you are a good mother. You have good energy, beautiful soul, beautiful spirit, and this was a beautiful conversation. I think we can start to wrap this up. To be honest with
Yeah.
you, but do you have anything else that you want to get off your chest before we stop recording?
Um, I would just say if you did resonate with this, that I have many offerings. So all of that is available in my link tree. Right now, I have an energy healing membership. I just do monthly, like consistent healings for people, just to $11 a month.
It's not bad.
I'm not in it for the money. I just, my guides put me in front of these things and I show up.
Mm-hmm.
And, but yeah, I would explore my YouTube too, if this resonated, because there's many activations, healings, tons of free, take them at pace. I will preface, take them at pace because they're channeled. So they're very high frequency. And then the last thing I wanted to share is that when you're receiving all this high frequency light, give yourself the integration periods. Remember to ground, remember to hydrate. Remember that you're going to become a living prayer. So it's just
Ooh.
get back, just again and again and again. Consistency. We talked about all of it here, but figure out what lights you up inside. Do it every day and allow it to be something that not only serves you, but serves the world. And then go
Mm.
on and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Live it.
Live it. Amen. Wonderful stuff. Well, yes, I appreciate you coming on here, sharing your time, effort, and wisdom. And that's it. Keep up the awesome work. I'll link everything down in the description for people to get in touch with you. That's it. Peace and love. I wish you all the best, Bri. And yeah, thank you to anybody that listened this long as well. Peace and
Thank you
love
so
to you.
much, Barry. Thank you.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.